All right, guys, we're gonna do an installation of this oil cooler. However, I can't show a removal because you can see how it is. This car was in an accident. The shaft was sheared off the car due to the impact of this oil cooler. You can see how the aluminum bent in from the crazy force, and I'll show you all what happened. I do want to note or put emphasis on, of course, there'll be things here. This is more like a school cutout to show you where things mount at and where the location of the oil cooler is, giving a better view of how things are placed on the vehicle opposed to everything here. So it'll be a little bit different if everything was here as far as removing this oil cooler. Still pretty much straightforward, simple job. And look at here. Like I said, we'll use this as a school cutout. Get some light here. Show you guys. So I just did a video on removing that shaft that sheared off from the impact. I don't know, somebody hit a fire hydrant or something, because the damage was mainly on this side. Luckily it didn't damage the oil pan, but this sits up like so. You see there's some raised sections, more like some guide points to keep it, to allow it to sit up here flush without spinning. You can see up there. We'll get up there even closer. I'll put some light up there, but this is how it sits. So that whatever someone hit pushed this back, and of course this aluminum is salted in the engine block iron. So this gave way. If this was made out of metal or iron, it would have cracked that block up. But of course this gave away and sheared that shaft off. Luckily the damage wasn't worse to the engine. There's nothing here really after I removed that old shaft, or the remainder of that shaft. All right, let's just do a quick install, show you guys how to put it up here. Like I said, this is not the conventional way due to this car being in an accident. However, it does give you a better view of placement and how things mount up. So we get the light all the way up here. You can just see. All right, let me show you all the new oil cooler into comparison. Old one, new one. Shaft takes a hex 12 millimeter, goes onto here, and that's how it is. It has an O-ring on there, and we're gonna set this thing in place. A couple things we're gonna do, but if you look here, you can see the difference. We don't need this anymore. So this is where the oil filter goes. All right, we're gonna install this piece now. So the very first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna add some thread locker on here. Although the manual or the software doesn't say it, add some thread locker here. We're gonna use some thread locker here and get this installed. Pretty simple, straightforward. Like I said, not the conventional way, because I'm not removing hoses, which requires clamps, which is super easy to remove, and of course removing the oil filter, draining the oil, etc. Just to give you guys some insight and a clearer view. All right, let me mount the camera and we're gonna go up with this thing, but let me get the thread lock and show you. All right, so here's some different thread lock I got. There's some blue also. You wouldn't use blue for this, or the red, although this is high temperature. We're gonna use this. This is in the middle, like the Goldilocks. This is in the middle of the three, blue, red, and oranges. It is removable, which is important, and it has a temperature range of about 300 degrees Fahrenheit. This block won't get 300 degrees Fahrenheit. If it does, you got a problem. Whereas this has a much higher temperature, but we don't need this. I'm just gonna use a little bit of this on the threads and then screw it up there really quick. So let me mount the camera. Also, I'll use just conventional oil. I don't got no oil laying around, so I just got a new cord. I'll just dip out of. We're gonna lube this O-ring up really quickly. All right, next we're gonna add some thread locker here, just a little bit. So now we want to torque this thing down to 24 foot-pounds. 24 foot-pounds. All right, so here's the torque wrench, torque specs, 24 foot-pounds. You can barely see the 4 there. You'll see we're right at the 24 foot-pounds. All right, that's so if you got an older torque wrench, you can use something like this as well. A bit more easy to read. All right, let's torque it down. All right, guys, it's a wrap. Let me show you all something important before we close out the video. I want to make note of this shaft. Like I said, it requires a hex socket or hex bit, 12 millimeter. However, if you can see how it is inside of there. So you can't use a standard hex bit. It has to have some length to it. Because if you look here, look at this. Just gonna spin. It's not catching anything. Has to have some length to go up there and grab onto that shaft. So your standard hex socket or hex bit won't work. Has to have some length to go up in there. All right, just want to note that we're all good. Everything's in place. We're all intact. Everything's perfect. And yeah, I'll be doing some painting to the hood and a couple things on here, and I think I may have to do a few more things. So whatever I have to do, I'll post videos to it. So with that being said, hope you guys found this helpful. This is like your school cutout where you're getting a better view of where this oil cooler mounts up at, opposed to everything being on the face of this vehicle and you can't see. So not conventional installation or removal. It is showing you how to install it and giving you key information as far as torque specs and the use of some thread locker. All right, once again, I hope you guys found this video helpful. Thank you so much for watching. Terrence and I'm out.